What's going on, guys? Welcome back, and today I am finally going to be bringing you the long-awaited part 2 of my Crosshair music analysis. Now, as many of you already know, my first Crosshair music analysis from over a year ago has blown up recently thanks to Screen Crush after they mentioned it in a couple of their Bad Batch videos. Since then, I have gotten endless requests to make a part 2, and I'm finally here to deliver. I gave you my Hemlock analysis as a nice little bonus, but now we're getting to the real meat here. For the sake of time, I'm going to assume that everyone watching this video has already seen my previous one, which covered Crosshair's music from the beginning of Season 1 until the end of Season 2. This video will be exclusively about Crosshair's music in Season 3 of The Bad Batch. I'll be leaving my previous video in the cards so you can check it out and come back here if you haven't seen it already. All you need to know is, at this point in the show, Crosshair's musical journey consists of 3 main musical ideas: the Inhibitor Chip theme, representing his service to the Empire, Crosshair's theme, and Mayday's theme, the clone who lost his life so that Crosshair could be reborn. With all that being said, let's get started, and I might be wrong about this, so please correct me in the comments if I am, but after heavy examination, I determined that despite Crosshair being featured in 2 of the first 3 episodes of Season 3, we don't actually hear any of the music representing his character until the end of Episode 4, as he reunites with his former squad. And as Ryan Airy from Screen Crush pointed out in his video on this episode, his theme is played in a different key than we've ever heard it in before, creating a haunting and somewhat foreboding sound, as we don't yet know how Crosshair will be able to heal the broken trust between him and his brothers. By the time we get to Episode 5, it becomes evident that the Kiners were just cooking with Crosshair's music up until this point in the season, because almost every bit of music in this episode relates to Crosshair in some way. We first hear a bit of his theme as Wrecker returns his old armor to him, and as he and the Batch take off and enter the atmosphere of Barton 4, we can hear the same eerie, almost ghostly and ethereal version of his theme that played the first time he traveled to Barton 4 back in Season 2. Once the Bad Batch land at the outpost and Crosshair exits the ship sporting his old armor again, we hear his theme played in the same key as the end of the previous episode, but this time, instead of starting on a B and jumping almost an octave to an A, it only starts on an E before jumping to an A. This smaller distance between the notes creates a more hopeful and heroic sound which we've never really heard for Crosshair's theme before, but underneath it, we can also faintly hear the theme for the Inhibitor Chip, representing that although he has regained a bit of his old noble self, he's still haunted by his dark past with the Empire. Immediately afterwards, we're given yet another reminder of Crosshair's past as he sees the Ice Vulture, and we hear Mayday's theme for the first time this season. Mayday's theme returns later on in one of my favorite scenes from the entire show, as Crosshair stumbles upon the armor once belonging to Mayday and the other clones stationed at the outpost, and as he pays respect to Mayday and the other clones, we hear the theme for Mayday combined with the clones' theme, symbolizing that not only did Crosshair respect Mayday, but his respect for the other clones has grown as well. Let's just say he's come a long way from saying he'd have left Echo for dead back in Clone Wars Season 7. Crosshair's theme can be heard briefly as Hunter antagonizes him and he finally reveals his reasons for betraying the Empire, and at the very end of the episode, Once he confesses his mistakes to Hunter and admits how guilty he feels about his past actions, we can hear that ghostly, ethereal version of his theme yet again, but it's replaced by the Bad Batch's theme as Hunter responds, saying that they can still keep trying to be better, and there might just be hope for them yet. Crosshair turns away and looks up at the Isovulture one last time, and we hear his theme, this time played on a stringed instrument, which I believe to be a cello. A much more calm and naturalistic sound than the eerie synth that was used previously, communicating to us that, for the first time in a while, Crosshair has hope again, and he can now move on with the trust he has regained from his family. In Episode 6, after the Bad Batch rendezvous with Captain Rex and his team, Hauser questions Crosshair's loyalty to the cause, and as Crosshair steps forward, telling him that whether Hauser wants to believe it or not, he really has changed, Mayday's theme quietly comes through, reminding us of the reason why Crosshair changed his loyalties in the first place. Later in this same scene, we can hear Crosshair's theme as he is explaining how he was able to resist Hemlock's reconditioning because being defective is in his nature. And in Episode 7, when he's talking to Hauser about how he realized that the Empire didn't value his loyalty, we can hear a subtle bit of his theme once again.
Loyalty meant something to me, but with the Empire it didn't go both ways. I realized how disposable I was.
And at the beginning of Episode 8, as Hunter and Wrecker are heading off in search of Fennec, and Hunter tells Omega to make sure that Crosshair gets his hand checked on, we hear Mayday's theme, starting low and rising in volume, a reminder that the cause of Crosshair's hand tremors is not only the torture he underwent on Tantus, but also his experience with Mayday. We don't hear any of the music for Crosshair again until Episode 11, and it's not his theme or Mayday's. It's actually the inhibitor chip theme. The first time this theme has been used prominently since, I want to say, Season 2, Episode 14, as Crosshair rushes up the island of Pabu trying to ensure that he lands a tracker on the ship that abducts Omega. My interpretation of this is that because this is the first time this season we've seen Crosshair being called upon to use his sniping abilities, which he previously used well in the service of the Empire, he is being reminded of that in this moment. And the reincorporation of the inhibitor chip theme was the Kyner's attempt to communicate that to us musically. In Episode 12, while Crosshair is telling Hunter and Wrecker about his history with Rampart and briefly alludes to what he went through on Tantus, his theme can be heard.
You've known what Tantus is this whole time?
I didn't say I know. There's someone who might have the coordinates.
And now we get to the one music choice this season that threw me for a loop. As Wrecker and Crosshair break onto the turbo tank and successfully locate Rampart, we hear a comedic variation of Mayday's theme. I don't know how else to describe it. My friend said it almost sounds like something you'd hear in a club, and we all know the Kyners are no strangers to making club jukebox mixes, but I struggle to see how Mayday is relevant to this scene. I suppose this could be a similar situation to Season 2, Episode 14, where they employed his theme to represent Crosshair doing the morally right thing, as Mayday would have done. Hence the reason why his theme is almost always used during Crosshair's moments of heroism. I don't want to believe that the Kyners accidentally mixed up their own leitmotifs, because as I've stated countless times, the Kyners' music choices have always been deliberate throughout this show. But I really don't understand why they didn't use Crosshair's theme in this scene instead of Mayday's. Maybe because they thought the melodic structure wouldn't work as well with what they were trying to do, but I just don't get it. If you guys have any of your own ideas as to why they used this theme here, please let me know them in the comments. Crosshair's music is absent from episode 13, but I did detect a tiny bit of his theme in episode 14 as he's talking to Rampart and essentially gives him a chance to change by telling him that the Empire betrayed them both, and that led to Crosshair changing his ideology. And in episode 15 of season 3, the finale of the series, we get what I consider to be the culmination of Crosshair's musical journey. As he's looking through his electro-binoculars at the Imperial forces closing in on them, his hand begins to tremble again, accompanied by a bit of the inhibitor chip theme, his past still haunting him in this moment. As he looks back at Wrecker and realizes the severity of his injuries, we hear the minor seventh from the beginning of his theme. Fearing that he'll lose yet another one of his brothers, he tells them to contact Rex while he infiltrates Tantus alone. As he says this, Mayday's theme can be heard, played on a cello, sounding more somber than ever, before getting cut off by the sacrifice motif. As Crosshair says the incredibly powerful line, Clone Force 99 died with Tech. With the losses of both Tech and Mayday weighing on him in this moment, Crosshair tells Hunter and Wrecker that Omega needs them, and he's doing this himself because he thinks it's what he deserves. Mayday's theme returns here, with the same somber tone, before resolving to a more triumphant chord. It transitions into the Bad Batch's theme as Hunter and Wrecker step forward, telling him to not even think about Plan 99. They've always known the risks just like Tech did, and if they go out, they're doing it together. Shortly afterwards, as the Batch attempt to infiltrate Tantus and are met by a squad of clone operatives, Crosshair's theme returns just as his fear does, his hand trembling, saying that they're outnumbered and need to fall back. At the end of this fight, as Crosshair and his team are pinned down by the operatives, we faintly hear the inhibitor chip theme in combination with the theme for the operatives as CX2 chops off his hand, a representation of the last physical reminder of his service to the Empire being quite literally severed from him. Now, some of you might find this to be anticlimactic, but that's it for Crosshair's music in The Bad Batch. I couldn't find any more instances of it being used in the finale episode. It would have been nice if they were able to implement it towards the end, perhaps in the scene when he makes the shot that saves Omega, but there was already so much going on with the music in that scene, I understand how it might have been difficult to incorporate it. I already said this in my previous analysis videos, but serious credit needs to go to Sean Dina and Kevin Kiner for their incredible work on this series. As people all over the internet have rightfully pointed out, there are countless themes, suites, and different musical ideas that elevate all of these series that they are involved in. And believe me when I say that I would love to make even more videos analyzing the different musical ideas in this show, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of time on my hands right now since I'm actually preparing to enter a music program in university this fall. I just wanted to make these particular analysis videos because Crosshair was by far my favorite character in this show, and that seems to be an opinion shared by a lot of fans. Before signing off, I just want to say how much I really do appreciate the support you guys have shown me on my Bad Batch videos. This show has meant a lot to me, and it's been such a joy creating these videos, interacting with everyone, and seeing how the show has impacted you all as well. But what did you think of Crosshair's musical journey throughout The Bad Batch and my analysis of it? Just whatever your thoughts are, please let me know them all in the comments below. And of course, as always, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.